Officer Marcus Thompson had always believed he was above consequences. For years, he had abused his authority, treating certain members of the community with disrespect and unnecessary aggression. His supervisors had received complaints, but somehow Thompson always managed to escape serious discipline. This particular Tuesday morning, Thompson was having what he called one of those days. Traffic court was backed up, he was running late for his testimony in a case, and his coffee had gone cold. As he rushed through the courthouse hallway, his frustration was boiling over when he saw a well-dressed black man in an expensive suit walking ahead of him, moving what Thompson considered too slowly. The man was actually Judge Harold Washington, newly appointed to the district court, but Thompson didn't recognize him. Judge Washington was reviewing case files as he walked, preparing for the morning session. "Hey, you!" Thompson barked. "This isn't a library. Move it along." Judge Washington looked up, slightly surprised but maintaining his composure. "Excuse me, officer." I don't want to hear excuses," Thompson interrupted aggressively. "I said move." When Judge Washington tried to explain that he was heading to his courtroom, Thompson's anger escalated. In a shocking display of unprofessionalism and misconduct, he actually shoved the judge against the wall. "Officer," Judge Washington said calmly, though his voice carried unmistakable authority, "I strongly suggest you step back and reconsider your actions." But Thompson was too consumed by his own rage and sense of power to listen. "Are you threatening me?" he snarled. What Thompson didn't notice was that several courthouse employees had stopped to watch the altercation. Among them was Sheriff's Deputy Maria Rodriguez, who knew exactly who Judge Washington was. She was already reaching for her radio. "That's enough," came a booming voice from down the hallway. District Attorney James Harrison approached quickly, having witnessed the tail end of the incident. "Officer Thompson, what in the hell do you think you're doing?" Thompson spun around, his face still flushed with anger. This guy, DA Harrison said, his voice dripping with disbelief, "is Judge Harold Washington. You just assaulted a sitting judge." The color drained from Thompson's face as the reality hit him. Judge Washington straightened his suit jacket and looked directly at Thompson. "Officer Thompson," Judge Washington said with measured calm, "you're under arrest for assault on a judicial officer, abuse of authority, and misconduct in office." Deputy Rodriguez was already moving forward with handcuffs. "Marcus Thompson, you have the right to remain silent." As the handcuffs clicked into place, Thompson's career flashed before his eyes. Years of getting away with misconduct had made him reckless, and now it had all come crashing down in a matter of minutes. "Your Honor," Thompson stammered, "I didn't know. What you were just doing," Judge Washington replied firmly, "was abusing your authority and assaulting a citizen. The fact that I'm a judge doesn't make it worse. Assault is assault, regardless of who the victim is." Word of the incident spread through the courthouse like wildfire. By noon, Thompson was not only fired from the police department but also facing serious criminal charges. The incident was caught on the courthouse security cameras, making denial impossible. 3 months later, in a twist of poetic justice, Officer Marcus Thompson found himself standing before Judge Harold Washington's bench as a defendant. The same man he had assaulted was now presiding over his criminal case. Judge Washington had recused himself initially due to the conflict of interest, but Thompson's lawyer had actually requested that Judge Washington hear the case, believing his client might receive more lenient treatment. It was a massive miscalculation. "Mr. Thompson," Judge Washington said from the bench, looking down at the man who had once pushed him against a courthouse wall, "you have pleaded guilty to assault, abuse of authority, and misconduct in office. Before I pass sentence, do you have anything to say?" Thompson, now wearing an orange jumpsuit instead of a police uniform, stood shakily. "Your Honor, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I let my anger and my prejudices control me, and I hurt someone who didn't deserve it. I hurt the community I was supposed to serve." Judge Washington studied him for a long moment. "Mr. Thompson, for years you abused your position of trust. You treated citizens with disrespect and violence, believing you were above the law. Today, you learn that no one is above the law, not even those sworn to enforce it." He continued, "I sentence you to 2 years in state prison, followed by 3 years of probation. You are permanently barred from working in law enforcement. Additionally, you will complete 200 hours of community service working with organizations that help victims of police misconduct." As the gavel fell, Thompson was led away in shackles. The courthouse hallway where it all began was now filled with reporters covering his sentencing. Judge Washington returned to his chambers, reflecting on how quickly justice had come full circle. He had no satisfaction in seeing Thompson destroyed, but he felt a deep sense of purpose knowing that the system had worked as it should. Deputy Rodriguez, who had arrested Thompson that day, was promoted to detective. She often reflected on how one moment of witnessing injustice and having the courage to act had changed multiple lives forever. The courthouse employees who witnessed the original incident became part of a new training program about recognizing and reporting misconduct. Thompson's case became a cautionary tale taught in police academies across the state and Judge Washington. He continued his work with the same dignity and fairness he had shown that day in the hallway, treating every person who appeared before his bench with the respect and justice they deserved, regardless of their background or the uniform they wore. Sometimes karma doesn't take long to strike. Sometimes it happens in seconds, with handcuffs clicking and a gavel falling, reminding everyone that justice, when properly served, knows no favorites and respects no one above the law. In the end, Marcus Thompson's downfall wasn't caused by the color of Judge Washington's skin or his own prejudices. It was caused by his choices, his actions, and his belief that he was immune to consequences. Justice had indeed come full circle, as it always does for those who forget that the badge is meant to serve and protect, not to intimidate and harm.